Hi everyone, hope you're good. Um, just like I would like to welcome you in this part. I'm just trying to tackle the Java RMI. We're just taking a look on a project working on just to figure out, to find out who is being registered. The citizen who has been vaccinated or not. So we're we're just using what you call multi-method invocation. You can go ahead and try to even to go and search on what you mean WebSocket, so that you can try to implement this project and that one too. It's a quite good thing. You can try that. So previously, we tried to do something on DAO, data access object. We are trying to solve this kind of the issue. We're still number B, where say user should be able to be concurrent register vaccination. That means the citizen should be able to register the citizen. Not only that, should be able to uh, register vaccination to the citizen. That means it need to register the citizen to the database. Okay, we done it with just let's try to see what we did. We're just done with the Hibernate configuration. That means on the database level, we're done on that one. Also, we're done with the DAO. We're just remaining with the assignment I told you to work on for the vaccination DAO. So we just have created the entity for citizen and the vaccination. We have citizen, what it need the things. We can see this what called entity. These things is applying what you call GPA Java Persistence APIs. So we just did what you call object relational mapping, ORM. I do hope you know this kind of the logic. You can go ahead and take time and read on it. So on the what we mean OLM, that's object relation mapping, is nothing else, just to make sure just to make sure like this kind of the GPA, it really help us for, it's called Java Persistence API. It is a standardization way where it's applying what you call object relational mapping, and it tries to make sure it turns our classes, it maps our classes in Java to be an relation in database. It tries to do the mapping through them. It knows exactly when we're retrieving data, where we're going to put them, where can it makes sure it's going to standardization, either using Postgres, either using any kind of the database management system. Not on that, what do you mean for the Hibernate? Hibernate, it comes to Lord just implementing the GPA, nothing else, okay? That's why you come up with the Hibernate framework. It's just implementing GPA. Implementing GPA. Of course, this GPA, it implements GDBC, Java Database Connectivity. I do hope you do know this one. So when it's just trying to add on some technology on the other things, that means Hibernate is a framework of GDBC, of course, but it's built on the top of GPA. It helps us to make sure when we save, when we do it, it know exactly what to do by using the Hibernate, nothing else. So now let us try to go back here under the vaccination DAO. Let us try to do implementation for it. Of course, you have to apply the CRUD. You need to apply CRUD here. You need to apply CRUD, nothing else, CRUD. So the first one, need public. We need to return something. Let me try to see what if we're returning something. Yeah, we're returning here. Let us say string register. That's called vaccination register. So we need the vaccination, comes from vaccination model. That's vaccination, and then we can say we use session. It will be Hibernate utility dot get session factory dot open session. So we try transaction. We use session dot. Just need to first to import this one. And session dot begin transaction. So after that we use session dot save, and then we save vaccination. Okay, not on that, we need to session dot close. Of course, we need first to commit transaction dot commit, save permanently, and the session dot close. So, and then after that we return, we say data saved successful. Okay, not on that, so we're going to apply also for update. It's going to be vaccination update data, and then we come say not save update. So we come here, we say we do another things also for delete. Of course you need to apply what you're going to use, but it's fine from here. So we delete. So and then we can later try to search public. It has returned a list of the vaccinated one, vaccination, and then you say all vaccinated citizen, get them, and then we need to import this one, Java util. After this one, we're going to have this kind of the session, Hibernate utility, get session factory. For the retrieving, we don't need for the transaction things, so we don't need that one. So we just need to have a list that are going to be, of course, vaccination. Let's say vaccination list, and then it's going to be session.create query. I'm going to create query, and then we pass something else. We say select let us say vaccination from vaccination. This one is just trying to use the table vaccine, and then we just say list, just turn the list of them. We good from here. Now we can session.close. Now you can close the session, and then return session.main return vaccination list. We done from here. That's how we're just trying to return the vaccinated one. So you can go ahead and implement the how can you grab the unvaccinated citizen. Just compilation. I mean, whenever we update the vaccination, we need also to update. I will just implement those things. You can see whenever we have added something on citizen, let us try to see. You can see we on citizen we have citizen ID, phone name, and phone number. But we need to add something. Of course, we can compare. We can add a flag that say he or she is vaccinated or not. That's what you call technical concept, technical model. Where it can help you to retrieve. I mean, if we update citizen, I mean, if the citizen is vaccinated, also this flag can update. That means the citizen has been vaccinated, of course. Okay, so that's the good thing, so that we can able to make sure we know exactly what you're doing. Okay, but at the vaccination, we just try to retrieve. You can see we have the ID, citizen friend key. You can see this is the citizen. We can only get the citizens who is not vaccinated by using a certain flag. That means if we have a flag, we can make sure, say, oh, this guy has been vaccinated or not. So that's the reason why if I'm going to apply something, it's not yet on the question that is being given, but there's some time what you need when you're applying something. Okay, that means allow me to go ahead and try to say private. It's going to be boolean. Say is vaccinated. Okay, this the thing. I mean, by default it will be false. Okay, wherever you do have things to be false. So we can try to do the things, and then you can come here. We say at column, because it has something. Say at column, we say we use name. Say is underscore vaccinated, like this way, to remove this one of the capitalizer things of the camel case. So that means you can see we have this kind of the booleans. You can see we have default. You can have some value. That's right to see. No label. I don't think. Okay, it's fine. There are other attributes you can add on this kind of the column. so that you can know the length if it is a string, but from this one just leave it. Try to see if it has length. You can specify the length exactly. Let us do like two. This is when we are just trying to apply something else. We just try to figure out. I think we need to put comma. Don't remember actually. Yes, you can add. That means if the string, we can specify exact the number of the length. I mean the number of characters it can hold. Okay. You can say, let us say value. Does it have default value? Okay. It's fine. Now you can see we just added this one. That means we need to generate get and setters for it. So it has generate get and setters. Let's generate insert code, generate getter and setter for this one, and then you generate. So we save this one. Now if we come here on vaccination, whenever we are going to do the vaccination register, we need to take the vaccination citizen ID and we update automatically the citizen by applying the citizen DAO. I mean, I'm going to show something. You can see we have citizen DAO here. Whenever we're registering the citizen, we need to do something else before we saving. By default, because we are just sending this citizen, by default it has is it vaccinated should be false by default. Okay, that means we need to come here before saving. We can say by using this kind of the citizen, that just apply the things we're applying to apply dot set is vaccinated to false. Okay, by default it's false. We can set to false. That means because we are going to retrieve this data comes from the database. I mean, when we're registering this guy, we just need to make sure we know exactly what you're doing. Okay, we can try to do the thing so that we can update, and then whenever we update, we can set this one with another value. Okay, great. Let me just try not to do much of things. Okay, now we're done with the vaccination DAO. Just with this one is going to do the first register, and whenever we're going to do update, we're just when we register the citizen, we're going to update the citizen also information by using the ID we provided. So now it is time to configure something. It's time to configure the server so that you can be able to communicate, because now on we do have a client, but we do just with the view, nothing else. You can see there's nothing else. Have citizen registry, vaccine registry, it can be executed and do anything else, but we need to make sure they're able to communicate. So now we're going to go in this kind of the controller just implemented. From here we're going to have, let us add a server. Let us have Java class. We're going to call it server dot, let us call it server. It is it should be in this kind of the controller, Java class, and then it says server, and then I click finish. You can see we have this kind of the class. We just done with the model and DAO. For the model and DAO, we're done. We're just on the controller. On the controller, we're going to do something else. Because this class is going to make sure is going to make sure the client and the server are able to communicate on certain things through remotely. So that's the reason why I'm going to configure something else. This class should extend what you call remote method invocation. Okay, let us extend unicast remote. That means we're going to apply. You can see java.rmi.server. That means we're make sure we just try to tell this guy, you know what, this is going to be our server, our RMI. They're going to control each and everything. Okay, so after having this one, now we can say object, and then it can implement. Of course, for the implementation, I'll just show you. I'm going to differentiate them under the service and so on. So this server is just there to do, able to make sure the client and the server are able to communicate, nothing else. Okay. After having this one, what else we're going to do? The thing we're going to do, we have extend this class. Now we're going to create a constructor. Of course, you just know how to create a constructor, which is a class. Say server, and then you do like this way. as a constructor. Just we don't put a class because we already have a class. This is how we create a constructor. So we say is a public. This one just missing. Okay, so we have a public server, but we need to make sure this class is going to be called automatically wherever it happens. That means if it is going to be called automatically, we need to throw some exception. I will just show you the things later. It does have a main. It does have a main. It has used public static void main. I'm going to have a main that's going to be executed to show that the server is running on this kind of the port. So now this one should be surrounded by try and catch, but of course I will show you how it's going to request us to surround it with try and catch. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to do system system.set property. We're going to set the properties so that this guy will know exactly what you're going to use. Okay, we're going to set the properties from here for the Java RMI so that you know exactly what to do. Okay, so we're going to say this is going to use java.rmi.server because we're going to say this is going to be the server that's going to be running on by using the host name. Okay, and should be running where, because from us we're going to use localhost. If we do have if we should have like a certain IP, this one is going to be executed, we should provide the IP. But now on, because this one is going to be run on localhost, and then no localhost, it has this kind of the IP 127.0.0.1. That means this one is going to be listened on this kind of the IP, that means on my local machine, nothing else. Okay, after having this one, we need to register to create registry. Ctrl Z, so that can be registry. It's found from java.rmi.registry. We say registry, and then it's going to be, we need to locate now registry. Locate registry, and then we say create. We're going to create registry. I want to explain things later. So now we need to specify exactly the port this one is going to be listening to. We can specify let us put once hold down and put semicolon. Of course, this one is going to say that need to be surrounded with try and catch, and put the exception. It has surrounded with try and catch. We can create our own things. It has tried to say try, and then we catch everything. Can catch each exception that can be raised, and then you can print stack trace for that kind of the exception that can be raised. So this is the thing we do have from here. Now we have just locate register. We're creating register. That means everything on a PC should have a listen port. That means this port 7000 is the port the client will be able to use to communicate with the server. Okay, but of course the RMI has a default port on PC, but if we don't know exactly the port we're going to use, we can locate registry by get registry port. But for now, we're going to create our own registry. We know exactly the port this one is going to be landing on. So now, after this one, we're going to use the registry we just created, .rebind. We need to rebind what? We need to rebind this class again, as long as we're trying to make sure the clients want to communicate with the server. From this one, if the server and the client should want to communicate, we should provide a key so that it knows exactly which one is going to deal with. Okay, this one I'm going to use the client. That means if I use the key client, it knows exactly which one to serve, nothing else. Okay, and then I need to make sure wherever we're just trying to rebind, we need to call again this kind of class. That means I'm going to call our server from here, so that's going to be called always wherever we need it. Okay, but there's something I need to show you. You just forgot, because we're trying to make sure if the certain exception list should be thrown away. So that means on this kind of constructor, I'm going to throw remote exception. That means if something happened, either connection refused to work between the client and server, should throw this kind of the exception by using the trace we just provided here. So now actually we can try to figure out to see, we can just say cout, that means system.out.print, and we say server is running on port 7000, for example. if let us try to run this program, this file, to see what's going to happen. You can see if we try to run you can say the server is running on this port. If I try to run again, what's going to happen? If I try to run again, because every file should have its own port. That means if the port is already in use, they're going to say the port already in use. That means you can't use port duplicately. That means you cannot have two services running on the same port. Get the point? So that's all. Okay, now we're just done with the configuring the server. Before we move to the client so that it can both communicate, I want to show you something. I'm going to configure the service. I'm going to configure the service. So I'm going to configure the service from here so that it knows exactly what to do, what to implement, nothing else. Okay. So here we go. We want to come here on the service. On the service we do have from here. So that we need to make sure they're able to communicate and do much of things. We need to implement, we need to create an interface. We're going to create an interface from here. So let us have, this one is going to be the interface. Where do we have interface? You can go to the other, and then on the other we can have Java. You can see we have Java interface. Okay, you see we have Java interface. Just click on this one, click next. Then we're going to say this one is going to be, we're going to have two interfaces actually for the citizen and vaccine, because they are two different things. You have to, if you have two entities, you have to have two interfaces at the same time. That means I'm going to have citizen interface. Okay, actually I'd like to call it citizen service, or you can go ahead and call it interface, nothing else. For you to know exactly what you're doing, you can go ahead and say interface, but nothing else. Okay, guys, it should be a service. Click finish. Just trying to make sure you know we're trying to call able to communicate. Also, let us have another service from this one, Java service interface. This one is going to be vaccine interface. Then you click finish. We do have two interfaces. The first one is for citizen. This one I need to specify exactly. It's nothing else. It's just to do what you call method signature. Just from here we just do what you call method signature, so that it knows exactly what you're doing. But this interface should be accept or being used through remote. That means we need to extend remote. Okay, we need to extend remote. That means it can be accessed through the remote tree. Okay, guys, please make sure you import each and everything from here. Okay, the first one we need to save the citizen. We need to save. We just going to be public, of course. For saving, is going to return a string. Let's try to string is say register citizen, and then should have the citizen as the model. Okay, citizen as the model, and then you do like this way, and then it throw any kind of the error that can be raised. Kindly throw the remote exception. Remote exception. Okay, and then click semicolon. You're done. That's how we do what you call this. What you call method signature. So now we don't need to register student only. We just need also to register. Update citizen. Of course, you need to provide each and everything. Citizen is citizen again. We throw remote exception from here. So let us delete to public string, delete citizen. It provides citizen for to be deleted, and then we throw remote exception. So lastly, we're going to have let us retrieve data. That means I'm going to return a list of the student, list of the citizen, and then it say all let's say get all citizen. So we don't need anything from here. Remote exception. So lastly, we can search by ID. That means you're going to return citizen if you're going to search something, and then you say get citizen by ID, and then you need to provide some information from here so that you know exactly what you're going to do. Throw remote exception from here. Now we need to import this list. Okay, now we need an implementation class that is going to be used, so that is going to be called automatically wherever we're going to use this one. But actually, I do like to use a server so that it can know exactly what to implement, nothing else. But we're going to try to do that so that we know exactly what you're retrieving, okay? Let us do the things. Let us start with the version interface also. Let us try to do this one. It needs to extend remote from java.rmi. So we need public string version register, and then you need to provide vaccine. The model one, the model kindly use the model. It has used vaccine small letters, so we know exactly. And then you can throw remote exception that can be raised. So let us have public string vaccine update, the same thing, vaccination, vaccine vaccine delete record. Let us delete record if we need to. If we're going to use this one, you can have this one, but it's not mandatory. You just configure what you're going to use actually. I'm trying to make sure if you met any kind of in need, you know exactly what to return. So let us return vaccination from model class. You say get vaccinated record. So lastly, you can search by retrieving the vaccine. Of course, you can say public vaccination, only say get vaccinated citizen by ID. Then you can have vaccination, you do like this way, vaccine, and then you throw remote exception. That's what we have from here. We don't need to repeat each and everything. I'm going just, because you can see under the client, we do have also the service. Should be the same actually. We're going to copy this one, copy, and paste in the service. Let us paste in the service. Refactor copy, please use refactor copy, and then refactor. You can see we do have now a down service, both under the service, a down server side, and the client. We do have both of them. So now the thing is, we're done with this one. We're going to go with the implementation ones. Of course, each service should have its implementation so that you'll be able to communicate, nothing else, okay? So now let us try to make sure they're able to communicate, nothing else. So let us go to the, let us have an implementation class. I'd like to have an implementation one. Actually, they are found in another service. You can create a new package inside of the service called implementation. Implementation. Can you say finish? Inside, you can see inside of the service, I'm having another package called implementation. Now I can go ahead and create a now Java class called citizen implementation. It has like this way, implementation. Also, we have a new Java class called vaccine implementation. That's implementation from here. So each class should implement the interface, okay? Let us start from the citizen implementation. Now it should implement what? Its own interface. Okay, you can see just implementing citizen, but they're going to say, you can see they're going to say citizen is not an abstract and does not override abstract method. That means we need to do something else. Just click on this one, implement all abstract method. You see, these things has been created automatically. By just do that things, that's enough. It's being done on our behalf. Okay, that's all. And then you can go ahead, of course. I'm going to use for the vaccine, we need something else. We're going to have public. That's public, because we're going to use its DAO so that we can register, save, and do anything else. So I'm going to have the DAO. You know, the DAO under the citizen, we're just trying to still working under the server side. So we're going to go to the public. We're going to have we're going to have under the DAO we have citizen DAO. You see, we're going to have public citizen DAO, and then says it has called DAO, and then we're going to say it's going to be actually but I would like to use this one so that it know exactly, if I use DAO, I know exactly what I'm calling, blah blah blah. So but it's fine, it's better to initialize it, say new citizen DAO, so that we know. If we are just using the Spring, we can know exactly what we can implement from here, but let us leave it right now. That means we just create this citizen DAO so that it can be accessed automatically. So now if I'm going to register the citizen, what am I going to do actually? So let us just try to delete these guys. We can throw that's right, can it trust around it, try and catch all exception that can be raised. We catch them, exception dot print stack trace. Oops. I'm going to say missing return value, you need to return something. I'm going to say return something. I'm going to put something there. Okay. Now we just rounded this one. It's not mandatory sometimes, but it's fine because we're trying to throw the remote exception. So now we're going to come here. That means this one is going to catch all exception. That means we can throw a remote, you can throw anyone. So that means we're going to register the citizen from here. I'm going to call DAO dot, and the DAO, it has register citizen under it. So you can see register citizen and we pass the citizen. We're done just registering. Okay, allow me to do this one because we have okay, it's fine, let us use this one, but I would like to keep it simple. We can decide return like this way, because we just configured the under the DAO, it's just returning DAO.register, it's just returning the string. If you do remember, if you try to go under the citizen DAO, you see if we go to the citizen DAO, you can see register citizen is just turning data save successful. That's the string you're returning, nothing else. So now if we come here, you can see I can return this one, nothing else. Okay, let us try to delete this one. Update. If we're going to update citizen, we need to also to do return DAO dot update citizen, and then you pass citizen, you're done. That's the implementation, nothing else. You can see it's somehow some similar. Return DAO dot delete citizen. So we have this one also, DAO dot all citizen, we turn the all citizens. So from this one, you just say return DAO dot get citizen by ID, and then pass the ID. That's all from here. This is the implementation of the citizen. So with less time, we are just in a few minutes, we are just remaining here. Let us go to the vaccine implementation also. Let us implement vaccination interface, and then you click this one so that we can implement all abstract methods. So that means the first one just to have public vaccine DAO, just need DAO, has used DAO, it has continued to use the same thing. New vaccination, and then you can say register. This one should return something. Say return DAO dot register, vaccine register, and then you pass that one. Also, we come here, we just use the same process. We say return DAO dot is it for the update? Okay, just update, and then you update this guy. So the same process from here. I want to return DAO dot read vaccine read. We read the one we specified there. So we need to get the vaccinated one, and then you can return DAO dot all of us citizens. Do we have did we implement they want to get the citizen by ID? Try to go to see if we have DAO under the DAO, vaccine DAO. Try to see if we have. Oops, we just need to configure that one because we can't mess without that one. So that means I'm going to have public, it should return vaccination, get vaccinated by ID, and then you pass the vaccine one, vaccination one, and then you can say session. I'm back in the DAO for this guy. Get session factory dot open, and then you can say we need to get vaccination. Say vaccine, and then it's going to be session dot get, and then use this one. We're going to use vaccination class, exactly class dot class, and then you use vaccination. This one we're just passing there as variable. This one dot get ID, and then we're done from here. And then need to do typecasting, nothing else. Vaccination. Okay, now we can return vaccinated one. So now we can back to the vaccine interface, vaccine implementation. We say we need to return return DAO dot get vaccinated by ID, and then you pass that one. We done from here. This is how we configure the implementation class. We just done with the interfaces. We just done with the citizen implementation. So, and even we just configure the server. Actually, on the server side, we done it on the server side. So I will just welcome you in the next part. We are going to pretty much work on the client side by trying to configure other things. So I do hope you understand the flow, what you did from here. In the previous part number 2, we just configured the DAO and even the Hibernate. In this one, you just configure the remote things. Exception, we just first go under the controller, is a code front controller actually. So we have configured a server that extends the unicast remote object. Make sure you have this kind of the import. You're just throwing this kind of the remote exception. That means if we call this one, it's going to rebind again. So we have set the property for our RMI to say java.rmi.server. That means the host name we're going to use is going to be the localhost. On the host name, we're going to use localhost, our local machine. We create a port. This one should be listened to. Also, we call client. Of course, in the next part, I will just try to configure another thing so that we know exactly what you're calling. That means we can call certain because we need to know exactly the implementation class. Actually, we should rebind our client to the implementation one. I will just show you how we can do that things in the part to come, so that we can know exactly what you're doing give. So I might configure something else in the service, but and the server, but now on have this one running and each and everything. So after this one, you go to the interface. You just create the interface by using method signature that able to throw the remote exceptions. We have citizen implementation from here. We have vaccine implementation. So not on that, also on the implementation, you're just implementing exactly the citizen one. We just make sure we call this kind of the DAO so that we know exactly to call this class and save or register the citizen, nothing else, by using the DAO. So in the next part, we're going to come now, we configure. We want to make sure, take time on the client side. So I can't wait to see you in the next part. So I hope you have enjoyed this kind of the session. So see you in the next part. Thank you.